Well, folks, this is a video that I'm sure a lot of you all are going to absolutely love because it's going to give you an excuse to buy more firearms, more ammunition, more spare full capacity magazines, more tactical gear. It's going to give you an excuse to work on your home security, to work on your perimeter security. And I'll give you some details about how to do that later on in this video. But first, let's talk about the reason that I think that upping your security in all areas is one of the most important things you can do right now. It's right up there, right next to food storage, in my opinion. If you look at history, if you look at any country that has had, say, an economic collapse, that has experienced hyperinflation, crime has always went up. Theft goes up. Home invasion goes up. Kidnapping for ransom goes up. Robbery goes up. Pretty much everything, every type of violent crime will be on the upswing anytime there's severe economic issues in a country or in a location. Even natural disasters, like Hurricane Katrina. We saw what happened in the United States after Hurricane Katrina. Crime went up. We also saw that the police was trying to confiscate firearms. So know that could be an issue you might have to deal with. But if you look at history, any time that there's been any type of major downturn in the economy, in the standard of living, crime goes up because people will resort to criminal activity as one of the first ways to survive. And you need to be able to defend yourself, even to be able to defend your property, your family, and your community. So focusing on your security, like I said, is one of the top concerns in my opinion. We have had upwards of 50 million people come across the border. The estimates go from like 20 million to 50 million people who's come across the border in the last 4 years. And this isn't just people from Mexico. This is people from all over the world. A lot of Muslim countries, actually. They're coming across the border unchecked by the millions. They're not going to assimilate. They're not going to come here to be, the good American. They're going to come here. They're coming here to dominate. Not all. I'm sure there's a few good ones sprinkled in there that wants to come and wants to do the right thing. But overall, we see military-aged males coming across the southern border and actually the northern border too. So that is also a huge issue. We also have a huge divide in this country between, left and right, Republicans and Democrats. We have this major election coming up that is going to cause a lot of civil unrest, in my opinion. And it doesn't matter who wins, there's going to be civil unrest, unfortunately. So you need to be prepared for that. And the best way to be prepared for that is to have 911 ready to go on your cell phone. It's to be armed. It's to have your security measures in place, because you have to stop the threat before the threat can get to you. And you may not have time to call the police, and plus it takes the police time to get there. Depending on where you are, it may take 10 minutes, it may take 45 minutes, or over an hour to get to where you are. So during that time, you're on your own, even if you have emergency services. So you need to take your security into your own hands. So one of the first things you definitely need to do is to get armed. You need to get armed and you need to get trained. Hopefully you're already trained, you already know how to use a firearm, and you are capable of training your family members who don't. Hopefully that's the situation that you're in. But if you're not, you need to get some training to be able to use that firearm safely. First thing is to use it safely. And then once you learn how to use it safely and then efficiently, then you can throw in some tactical things, some home protection drills and things like that to better secure your property and better protect your family. So definitely you need to get armed. So what do you need? What type of firearm do you actually need? It depends on your location. It really does. If you are in an urban area, hopefully you're not, but if you are, you want a different type of firearm than you would if you was living in the open desert or the open plains, because you might need longer range if you live in that open desert, open plains. Here where I am, most shots aren't over 150 yards. Most are less than that. Most deer hunters take deer at about 50 yards to 100 yards actually, so it's pretty close up because you can see here all the trees, and this is pretty much all over this county where I am. So you don't really need as longer range things. But I do have, a 308 with optical sight for reaching out longer distances if I need to. So, what you need depends on your budget, where you are. But if you don't have a lot of experience, with firearms, one of the first things I suggest you get would be a revolver. A lot of people will see movies and see people with, these semi-automatic handguns, and those are great. However, it takes a little more training to be able to use those safely. Actually, if you have a revolver, it's more simple to operate, and it's effective. It really is effective. If you get something like a Ruger SP 101, excellent handgun, 357 Magnum. You can also shoot 38s in that, so that is a good gun to have. You might also want to get something like, a pump action 12 gauge or 20 gauge shotgun. Get some double buckshot, number 4 buckshot, excellent for in-close home defense. If you like semi-automatic and you have some experience, and you no doubt already have guns already, so you don't really need my recommendations on this. But if you don't and you want that semi-automatic handgun, then I suggest getting a Glock Model 19. I know some people will be like, oh God, he's pushing the Glock. Glock is a simple handgun. It's got few working parts compared to other semi-automatic handguns, and it's simpler to operate. Actually, it's just about as simple as a revolver. There's really no safeties or anything like that. Your safety's in the trigger. Your safety is up here and keeping your finger off the trigger. So, like I said, get what you're proficient with, get what you're comfortable with, and if you aren't proficient or comfortable in nothing, you start out with a revolver and learn how to use that. Pump action shotgun, semi-automatic shotgun, and 12 or 20 gauge, number 4 buckshot, double buckshot. I want to throw in some slugs. I want to throw in some number 6 shot. If you want to expand that and get a rifle, then you can get something like the Ruger 9mm carbine that I talked about in a video here a few days ago, the PC9, I think that the model is actually, and that's excellent. If you have the Glock Model 19, you can interchange magazines and ammunition, so it keeps down cost and makes things more simple to stockpile, your supplies for that. If you want to get a little more punch, you can get an AR-15. If you like the AK platforms, you can get an AK-47 type platform, but those now aren't worth it in my opinion. They're reliable. They're really strong made, well made. They can take a beating. However, the prices on those AKs now are pretty much up there with your AR-15s. In some cases, even more. You get an AR-15, it has more common ammunition. It has more accuracy. Actually, magazines are easier to find. Spare parts will be easier to find. And, the police and military also use similar firearms, not exactly the same thing as an AR-15. Usually, a lot of the police use AR-15s. However, the military, the ones they have, the M4 has, semi-automatic and a 3-shot burst, but you can still use a lot of the parts interchangeably, the magazines interchangeably, so you can be able to find, spare parts and things more easily for that AR-15 than you could an AK-47 type platform. If you want something to carry concealed, and you definitely should if you can do that legally, and even if you can't, maybe depending on the situation, not saying to break the law, but sometimes you have to do what you have to do to stay safe from criminal activity, from being murdered and raped and robbed and kidnapped. You have to put your own safety first before anything else. And they say it's better to be judged by 12 than carried by 6. So if you want to get something for concealed carry, that Glock 19 is excellent for that, but it's in the upper limits of size-wise as far as the size and weight to be comfortable and easily to conceal. I like Smith & Wesson Airweight revolver. I have a Smith & Wesson Airweight 38 revolver that goes in my front pocket in a pocket holster. It's very easy to carry, very lightweight. And like right now, I'm standing here, and my hand, if I was talking to other people, if I thought there was a threat, and have my hand in my pocket on my gun. And all you got to do is just bring her out. So it's right there, and it's quick, and no one notices it. It gives the advantage of being concealed, and being concealed gives the advantage of surprise. If someone sees you with, a handgun on your hip, then they know that you're armed. You're going to be the first one that they take out because you're the biggest threat, because you're armed. So you want to really, if you're out in public, in my opinion, you want to carry concealed and not open carry. That's just my preference, because it has a lot of advantages, I think, because mainly the advantage of concealment, surprise. They don't know that you're armed. They don't know you're a threat. Because if they see you with a handgun and they're planning on doing a shooting or something, you'll be the first target. They want to take you out first because you're the biggest threat. Can they see you right there with the handgun? You may think you look tough going around that on your side. You may think you're going to scare people away, but a hardened criminal is just going to go pout and pop you first and then do what they want to do anyway because you're the biggest threat. Now, we've talked about firearms. We talked about the reason to get better prepared to defend yourself and why it's so important. We talked about firearm selection. Now let's talk about securing your home. Look at your doors. Your doors is one of the main entry points, obviously, because that's the way you enter a house. Enter a house, exit the house through the doorway. And most likely, that's the way people will try to come through into your home. So you want to have secure doors. You want to have strong doors. If you can put up metal doors, those are great. Put in really good hinges. You want to have really long screws. You don't want to use those little screws in your hinges. You want to have really long screws. Screws into those hinges to make that more difficult to come through, to knock down. Where your deadbolt and your regular door lock are located, you want to have that base plate. If you can get one of those base plates that go all the way down, they're about a foot long. I'll put a link to one description box below if I can find one on Amazon. I don't know exactly what they're called, but they're a longer security base plate. That's what I would call it. And it goes all the way down your door and has more screws through that. Put longer screws through that. Plus, instead of having a little bitty plate for your deadbolt and for your doorknob lock, it goes all the way down. So you have, a foot long plate that both go into with those long screws. And have good strong deadbolt, good strong door locks. If you can have a security system, that's also great. Security cameras, great. Dog that will bark that someone is outside is great. If you're on a farm, things like guinea hens can also work, because if they see something that's strange, they will throw, a horrendous fit and alert everyone around that something isn't right. You want to have advanced warning if possible. Things like, driveway alerts. If you live out in the country and your home is, set back from your driveway, or even if it's not, and you have just, like 100 yards or so from the main road up to your house, you can have a driveway alert down at the end of the driveway. If someone comes through, it will sound a warning letting you know someone is coming through, so you have more time to react. If you can put things like game cameras around your property, they might catch images and some short video clips of criminals sneaking around your property, trying to case out your property to find the best time to attack. Just look at where you are and say, how can I harden this property? How can I make where I am, how can I have advanced warning systems in place? Let me know some threat is out there before that threat can attack me. You want to secure your doors the best you can, your windows the best you can. Security systems, great. Security cameras, great. Like I said, guinea hens, great. Something I need to get myself here, actually, is some guinea hens, a good watchdog. You want to have your family drill, the way they know if something is happening. Say something is happening at your back door. You need to have a drill with your family to know when that happens. You have a code and you can scream that out. They know exactly what that it means. They will know exactly where to go for the most safety. And you will know exactly where they are. That way, if you have to fire up on that threat, you will know that you're actually firing up on that threat, and it's not, your family members in the wrong place. If they come to the front door, the same thing. Coming through different areas, different ways, you want to have a drill for pretty much every scenario that you can think of, and your family needs to drill that. That way you know what to do, when to do it, as quickly and efficiently as possible. And folks, something else that I don't hear a lot of people talking about is neighborhood watch. There used to be a lot of neighborhood watch. People would watch and then call the police if they saw something going on. That is good. What I'm talking about here is a neighborhood watch on steroids, an armed neighborhood watch, because you never know when you're going to run up on something that's happening, and you have to take action very quickly. And like I said, police presence may not be available in a really bad situation. And this video covers now to total collapse type situations. So the police, 911 may not always be available, but having that community watch set up where your neighbors work together, your neighbors patrol the area, help each other, and actually can stop crime in that area from happening, stop bad things from happening in that area. So if you can put together that neighborhood watch, that is an awesome security feature, and it actually gives you like a prepper group. It's a security group in your community, and when crime starts happening, all your neighbors will definitely want to be involved with that because it's for their own protection, it's for their own good. So the majority of your neighbors will be all up for that and will be all up for participating in that. You want to set up meetings, you want to have protocols, you want to set that group up to secure your community. Hopefully this video helped give you some ideas, but you definitely need to focus on security, getting armed, food storage. If you can get at least 3 months food storage, that's great. More is even better. So you want to focus on mainly those two things right now, in my opinion. Getting your food storage at least 3 months, more if possible. Getting armed, getting more secure, because crime is definitely going to go straight up, in my opinion. When the economy gets bad, gets worse, it's already bad, but it gets even worse. People start needing to steal to stay alive, needing to commit criminal activities to stay alive, to make ends meet. Crime definitely will go up. And like I said, we have that border wide open, all these people, we have this election coming up, we have civil unrest possibility. So right now, get armed. If you liked the video, give it a big thumbs up. Thanks for watching. I'm the Creekmore. I'm out here. I'll see you all in the next video, hopefully.